Alrighty, good morning. Steve Weber here. I forgot to put the push to go live button until the theme song was just about over. So that's the explanation for the short introduction on the theme. Don't tell Debbie G. She's coming up in a few minutes that the host of the American Gumption morning show is already making mistakes in the back technical side of running the show. All righty. Very good. Well, hey, welcome everybody to Friday, January 22nd. Friday, January 22nd. Today is show number 112. All righty. And very, very excited. I'm excited about just about every show that I do. And I always think that I try to show up and be like, hey, this is ready to go. But today it's actually, just a little bit extra special because Debbie G, the founder of Spirituality Gone Wild, is going to be joining us. And so we'll have a chance to publicly discuss that some of the things that I've known about, but, some of the things Debbie's just doing what she's doing. So anyway, we're going to have a great conversation about where the future of Spirituality Gone Wild lives and lies as 2021 really gets going and what's going to happen in the next few months and this coming year. So a lot of good things coming up. So that'll happen about 15 past the hour. All righty. And my monologue today is why is Spirituality Gone Wild good for American Gumption? Why is it a good thing for Steve Weber, for American Gumption brand to be part of Spirituality Gone Wild? So that'll be my monologue that I'm going to do here. Alrighty, let me tell you what's happening next week. So plan is I will do 5 live shows next week. I've done 4 live shows each of the first 3 weeks or the last 3 weeks, the first 3 weeks of January. And that's going to be the, more or less the schedule. I'm going to do probably more on average of 4 live shows per week rather than 5. But the plan is to do 5 live ones next week. Friday and Monday, I do not have a guest scheduled yet. So I'll either have a guest or I'll do a monologue only. We'll just figure that out. But I got great guests coming up for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday already scheduled. So Tuesday, Dave Trombetta. Dave was the general manager of the very first Bubba Gump in Monterey. And he was the guy who I called up, I didn't call him up directly, but he was the guy who called me back and said, hey, you think you're Forrest Gump, huh? Well, come on down and we'll take a look at you. So I set up the interview that launched my Forrest Gump career with Bubba Gump, and Dave was the guy I talked to on the phone. And so anyway, Dave and I will talk about the adventures that him and I did for almost 15 years together as we opened up 20 plus restaurants across the country and had a lot of fun. So that's going to be a great show. Wednesday, Wes Schaefer, the sales whisperer. Wes Schaefer, the sales whisperer. Wes is a sales guy, and he helps people with their technology, specifically getting set up with, their CRMs and their, websites and that sort of thing. But Wes has been doing this kind of virtual technology selling for as long as anybody. So he started in the late 20s. So I don't know, 2007, 2008, somewhere around there. And he was doing virtual meetings and conducting business online right from the get-go. So it'll be interesting to hear him talk about how things have evolved over the last decade plus, and then specifically this last year. So that's going to be a little bit of a geek fest on Wednesday. And then Thursday, Yolande Brown, author of the book Holy Candy, Why I Joined a Cult and Married a Stranger. So Yolande's going to join us, and her book's a couple years old, but she went through quite an ordeal and emerged out the other side and wrote a book about it. So it'll be a great conversation, and we'll meet Yolande on Thursday. All right. That's it. Now let me go ahead and shift gears. Let me jump right into the monologue today. So why is it that spiritual, back up. So Debbie's going to join us in just a couple of minutes, probably about 10 minutes from now. And we'll go over what the vision for Spirituality Gone Wild is and what's going to be happening in the coming year, how she got this thing started 3.5 years ago, but all the fun stuff that's happening right now and coming up, in the near future. So that's going to be our conversation. So the monologue for today is, why is it that American Gumption, Steve Weber, American Gumption, why is it that it's a good thing for me to be a part of it? That's going to be what I'm going to focus on here. So the simplest one line answer is that I get to be part of a community. And so I'll repeat that. I get to be part of a community, and that's what Spirituality Gone Wild is. It's a community, and there's a lot of different components of that community, and we'll get into that with Debbie. I'll explain a little bit of them here, but basically, I lived the first 50 plus years of my life as a lone wolf, really mostly the last 60 years as a lone wolf. And I was like a guy who was determined to just go it on my own, and I didn't need anybody. And I joined different things, and I was always part of a team, and I knew how to be a nice team player, more or less. But basically, I was always more comfortable being by myself and alone in this world, the lone wolf. I even had like a neon lone wolf howling at the moon. That was my symbol back in Montana. I still have it, but it's kind of buried in boxes and put away. Well, maybe it'll make an appearance again someday. But anyway, I decided it's better for me to join the pack. And so I could continue to go off being the lone wolf, or I could actually join a group and be part of the community. And so that's the simplest reason. Now let's get into a little bit more. The other second piece of why is that I get to be part of something bigger than I could be part of by myself. And so that's that same idea of, not being the lone wolf, joining a pack, joining a community. But Spirituality Gone Wild is, something much bigger than I could ever be alone by myself. So American Gumption, part of Spirituality Gone Wild. It helps me. It helps Spirituality Gone Wild. But basically, it's me being part of a bigger group. That's the short answer. Now, anytime a brand like American Gumption is going to exist and survive, is you need to create a community of members. In other words, people who believe in what you stand for and what you're doing. And so, and in the bigger picture, American Gumption has its own people who like what I'm doing and want to follow and be part of it. So it's both possible and necessary, for me to establish. It's both possible and necessary for me to establish my own community, American Gumption fans. I get that, and I have to do that with or without Spirituality Gone Wild. And all influencers, all people who have a brand, and there's lots and lots of them happening on the online world these days, membership sites, people are forming their own little group. And with 500 or 1,000 members, you can make a nice living. So that's the thinking. That's the idea that like everybody has to build their own little tribe. Not everybody, but only, the people who want to play in this arena that I'm playing in and the other people are playing in. You got to build your own tribe. You got to build your own followers, that sort of thing. So that has to be done whether I'm part of Spirituality Gone Wild or I'm not part of it. Now, the idea of a community of members is what Spirituality Gone Wild is going after, where they're saying, okay, let's take American Gumption, let's take Scott Stanfield, the modern Longevitarian, let's take Joan of Angels, let's take David Strickle, Stream of Damon, all these different individuals who have their own communities and bring them together to again create something bigger. The sum of the parts is the whole becomes much bigger than the sum of all the parts, all the pieces individually added up. What's an example of this done in the past? Community of members. Well, initially I was part of the National Speakers Association. I was a member for 10 years and thought that really was my tribe. I ended up ultimately, I did leave the organization a year ago. And I found myself like being more attracted to a different community, and Hay House Books was one of the first communities that I really thought, oh my gosh, these people resonate a whole lot better. So Hay House Books, all of its authors, it has its own community of people, some, lots of big names, the rock stars of the spirituality world are all, many of them published their books through Hay House Books. So that was one of the first big groups that I saw. And then a few years ago, Gaia Gaia Broadcasting Network, they came and they started creating video content and, educating the world on this type of work. And Humanities Team is another online group that has lots of humanitiesteam.org has a big following, big group of membership and community. So, and people typically will join these groups because they like the content of one particular person. They get introduced to somebody, or they become aware of somebody and they hear them. They go, oh, I want to learn more about that person. And then they find out they're part of the group. And then what happens is the group allows a member, somebody who joins, to get the content for one particular brand, but then introduced to other brands and other authors, other educators, trainers, leaders, spiritual leaders. So they get to have more and more content and exposure that way. So that's the idea of a community of members versus sort of that single membership that I mentioned, where what American Gumption is. All right, so when I started my own journey of awakening, back in 2009, that was my year of transformation. I went through a variety of teachers, and two of the ones right at the very, very beginning, I remember, were Eckhart Tolle and Deepak Chopra. And I remember reading their books, and I had to read like the pages, each book, each page twice to kind of, try to understand it. And what happened was I became more and more familiar with that thinking and that philosophy, and then it led to more and more people. And recently I reread, I don't know, one of their books. I can't remember which one, but I read it and I was just able to, kind of go right through it because I understood it much better. And so, that 10 years, you learn something if you pay attention and you focus on it. So anyway, these teachers, were kind of the beginning of my foundation. But what happens is that, you have many teachers. You learn from one person, then you go to the next person, and you have like this kind of idea of lifelong learning and the journey. It's always about the journey. It never stops. It just keeps going and just keeps going, and you keep learning and or the onion, you peel back one layer of learning, and then you peel back another layer, and and it just kind of keeps evolving. So there's many teachers that we get to see over the course of our journey, our life journey. So now, so back to why is it that I like to be part of Spirituality Gone Wild, and why is that good for me? Is because I get access to these other teachers, these other people, and that community of people that is being built around them. And so and I remember when I joined Spirituality Gone Wild, I told Debbie, I said, gee, I don't feel like I'm a teacher. I feel like I'm more of a student. And she said, well, what kind of a show do you want to do? Why don't you just define it as? And I said, I want to do the American Gumption Morning Show, and I want it to be a variety show, and I want to interview people primarily. And my teaching is becoming, sharing what these other experts in. So I don't feel like I'm going to be an expert in any one particular modality, but have kind of a pretty good knowledge of all of them and be able to have conversations with all these different people. So that's again something that I get out of being part of this community, which makes it exciting. So again, people join Spirituality Gone Wild, and they're going to get access to, they might find one particular person that comes in, but then they're going to get introduced to the other co-creators, the other brands, the other individuals, the individual brands that again are collectively all brought together under the roof. And so, you get exposure that you wouldn't necessarily get somewhere else. So that's that. Now, let's see. I'm just about at the end of my monologue here. So the commonalities among all members and the co-creators. So what is it that unites all of us? And again, Debbie's going to explain all of this and her vision of it. And so really, this is just my interpretation and again my belief on why it's good for American Gumption brand to be part of this bigger community, Spirituality Gone Wild community. What are the commonalities among all the members, all the people who want to be, members and be part of the community, and then all the co-creators, the people like myself, the different brands that are brought together here. And so I have a list here, and it's like, one is, it's improving the human condition. We're all committed to making, life here on Earth in this time and space better. So the human condition, how do you enhance that, make it better? Everybody's committed to lifelong learning. They're curious people, they're interested people. They want to better themselves. They want to better the rest of the world, humanity. They all have a belief that we're connected. And now, what does that mean? Well, that's like the big picture. What is it that connects us all? So the universe, God, the quantum field, Buddha, Christ, spirit, source energy. I mean, people call that a variety of different things. There's religions that call it one thing. There's, the spiritual world that calls it another thing. I personally prefer universe. Source energy is a great one. The quantum field, kind of a Joe Dispenza thing. A little more on the science end. I tend to relate to that. In my introduction theme, there's quantum gumption. That is kind of the, that connectedness that all of us share. And there's also an acceptance of others and the power of others' choices. I believe that all of the people part of this community believe that there's no one right way to do this. There's no one, interpretation. It's really, each of us have our own interpretation, and there's commonalities between these interpretations, but there's also an acceptance that, hey, everybody gets to choose. We're not trying to force anything on anybody. You get to, if this resonates, you get to choose, and you get to be part of the community. And we hope that we find lots of you who do choose and become part of the community. But it's not something like, oh, you have to believe this, and if you want to be a member of the club, then this is like, the belief system, 1, 2, that none of that stuff exists. It's just really more of a matter of that journey, that connectedness, the improving the human condition. And ultimately, it's unconditional love. I mean, that's what we all strive for. That's not easy to do. We humans, we like to put conditions on things. And so that's what we're all, as our community, we're trying to improve and be part of it. So again, just to kind of wrap up and summarize, why is it that I believe that my brand, American Gumption, Steve Weber, why is spirituality good? Spirituality going wild good for me, and why is it good for me to be part of the community? And it's because I get to be part of something bigger than what I could do individually on my own. And, that some of the parts, the parts individually, they all have a value, but together they create something much bigger and much better. And so that's the reason why that I personally have chosen to be part of this and want to continue to be part of it. All righty. Now, I do see that our star of the show, today's show, is ready to go in the back room. Let's go ahead and welcome Debbie G to the show. Good morning, Debbie.
Good morning. It's early time for a cup of grata, man.
Hey, I want to thank you. I have to thank every one of my guests who comes on from the West Coast, because, it's like 11 o'clock for me. I've been up for, a couple of hours. I've been doing or it's 10 o'clock for me, I should say. I've been doing my preparation, and you got to have to roll out of bed and, put that little braid in your hair and put on your smile and be ready to go. And it's right. So thank you. Thank you very much, Debbie.
Actually, it's a pleasure to be here. It's a complete and utter joy. I love you, Steve, and you rock. And I used to do my show at 7 a.m. So I'm like really okay with that. I love this. This is spectacular. What a bunch of awesome stuff you've been saying. So good morning to everybody out there. How are you doing? How is it going? Today is just a spectacular day, period. Because I woke up. I woke up this morning going, ah, what is it that I can be grateful for today? And what is it that is sparking that G vibe? And it's just the essence of being, just learning to enjoy every morning. This word right here, everybody, do you see it? This is how that you make your grateful cup of beans right there, okay? And you take a big healthy swig of some gratitude, And that's how that you start your day. So I'm grateful to be starting my day here with you, Steve.
Well, good. Thank you, Debbie. And you missed a little bit of the monologue at the beginning. That's okay. I was just basically kind of setting the stage saying, why is it that spirituality gone wild is good for American Gumption? And why is it that American Gumption wants to be part of it? You know, me personally, why do I want to be part of it? So I just went through and talked about some of that. And some of it we'll talk about, you know, from your perspective, the same thing. There's a little bit of overlap there, but that's because we're all on the same, the same team and the same page as far as what we're trying to do. So Debbie, the way the American Gumption show works, of course, you're the boss, so you could like change things. But typically, I like to just read a little bio of and welcome somebody, and then I play the first time guest welcoming theme. Except that I played that for you back on show number 18, August 26th. That was the last time you were on the show,
Wow. Really?
August 26th, show number 18, and today is show number 112. So
Well, hot diggity damn.
it's not like we haven't talked in a while, but it's kind of like we haven't done this in a while. So I'm super grateful that you're here this morning. So let me just tell people who you are, kind of in the big picture, this little bio, and then we'll just launch right into what the vision for Spirituality 2021 is all about. How's that sound?
Yup.
Now, Debbie G is the founder of the explosive and forward-thinking Spirituality Gone Wild. Additionally, Debbie is an accomplished graphic designer, gratitude alchemist, Reiki Master, and a self-love breakthrough coach. Debbie believes that words don't teach, life experiences do. Her show on Spirituality Gone Wild is called Capagrata, with a shot of expression and 2 squirts of reality. It's organic, raw, unfiltered, authentic G vibes. G vibes is for gratitude, all served with authentic vulnerability. Debbie G interjects her own story to immerse you in her energy and spark your G vibe. G vibe. She believes anything goes on our journey to spark the G vibe. The G vibe. You see, you do this really well because this is your lines, right?
Spark that G vibe, baby. Come on now.
Thank
Right?
you.
That's your gratitude vibration. You know what? It's all about the elevation and vibration and bringing up the essence of who that you are through the feeling of that frequency. And grateful beingness brings the frequency up into it. Just try it, guys. Just sit at home. Spark that G vibe. You know what I mean? And you know, a lot of people could think of whatever you want to think. And I love that you're thinking. I know what you're thinking right now. I can see it. And guess what? Good for you. Because anyway, you spark that G vibe, it's going to raise and elevate you. That's the idea behind it, Steve. You see, if we can just break the momentum of life in its, you know, that that thing we get going called patterns and behaviors, and we just get on autopilot, autopilot, autopilot. When we spark the G vibe, it pops your cherry. It pops that pattern behavior, and you get to just break it all up and then really feel into the essence. It brings you into the present moment too. It's actually a tool, a technique that I have. And I mean, as funny as it sounds, it works.
It certainly does, and I've gotten to listen to your show. I ended up joining Spirituality Gone Wild without really knowing a whole lot about who Debbie G was. I hadn't been following for years and years. It was like we kind of met, and 3 days later, we're like talking about let's do a show, let's be part of it. I thought I was just going to get invited to be a guest on the Capagrata show, and instead, I end up here. I am with my own show. So extremely grateful for that, and funny how things work out. And I should say that it was on my birthday, July 7th, when we met, 6+ months ago. And yesterday was Debbie G's birthday. So happy birthday one day later. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, very good.
Oh my God. Okay, dude, like I had the biggest surprise yesterday. This was so, I couldn't even believe it. Yesterday morning, first off, I want to just start like, how did I wake up yesterday morning? In gratitude. And that's no kidding. Like I woke up just I look around my house, and every time I look around my house, I almost get tears almost every time, just out of the sheer gratefulness for everything in my life, not just the stuff, but the people. But then I get a call from a friend of mine who's in town, David Reed Watson, who anybody who's been watching me for a long time knows David. He's one of my favorite rock stars. He's so cool. He's one of my favorite people in this world, and he is visiting here. Thank you, Kat, for letting me borrow him, and he's here. And last night he was playing his music, and I'm like, there is nothing, Steve, that I love more than guitar playing. Okay, I
Mm.
am I played guitar when I was young. I grew up with my father playing guitar. I am a musician through and through in my core because I just am. And so when I am able to listen to somebody else play, oh my God. So my closing out of my birthday was listening to like all the coolest songs ever that you could ever imagine. It was rad. I had so much fun. Oh my God.
So
Okay.
you had a good birthday.
I had a great birthday. My son came back from Dallas and I picked him up, and I'm working on the Goddess Fest right now. Any of
Yep.
you ladies out there that want to go to the Goddess Fest, you got to go. gfest.life. Gfest.life. Tickets are 25 bucks. You can't miss this. I'm going to be running 16 workshops over the next 2 days. $25 for 16 workshops. Well, actually it's 45 for all 16, but 25 gets you into 8 of them. So come on. Come on. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go do it. All righty. Hey, so let's focus on spirituality gone wild, and
All
let's
right.
so 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, you basically started this organization. We talked about it the last time you were on, kind of went through the history of that. So I don't want to go through that whole conversation again, but
Mhm.
just like give a quick little short version of how did it all start 3.5 years ago? What was going on in your life, and what prompted you to get the domain spirituality gone wild and start this crazy adventure that we're on?
Woohoo! That actually started about 5 years ago. 5 years ago, because I was having a conversation with my friend Bob Miller, who's no longer here. He was Mr. Practice, Gratitude, Success, and I loved him so much, and I still do. And we were just spirituality's gone wild. Literally, we were talking about angels and aliens and channeling and um, just everything. This realization that everything isn't quite as we thought. A little bit different, right? Once you are awakened into a different reality. So that's where it all came from. It was just simply that. And then I'm like, spirituality gone wild. And then I started getting downloads and I started getting visions about providing this space for people who are doing really great work in this world to be seen, like you're doing, Steve, like I'm doing, like all of our co creators, and like all the co creators that are getting ready to come. You guys are doing great work. You need to be seen. That was part of it, and there's a whole bunch of other pieces. So I knew that it was supposed to happen, and I didn't act on it until 3.5 years ago on August 8th in 2017, when I literally hear from Spirit, now you're going to start it now. And I'm like, what? I'm not going to start it now. I'm not ready. I don't have this, and I don't have my ducks in a row, and I'm just not doing it. And I get this, oh, yes, you are. Oh, no, I'm not. And with Spirit, Spirit always wins. So I did it. And here's the funny part, Steve. That was Lionsgate. Now, back in 2017, I didn't have a clue what Lionsgate was.
Right.
I'm not your seasoned guru, spiritual guru in that community. I'm just I had no clue. I've since learned what it is. So August 8th was Lionsgate. And I'm sitting there going, what a trip. I mean, really. So I started it just because I felt led to do it, and because I said the sacred yes, to show up and be that for others that I wish for myself, and to be here to spark everybody's G vibe, and that's what we do. And Spirituality Gone Wild's actually evolved into a lot of things, and it's
And
spectacular.
and we'll get to all of those things. But those first couple of years and the Cupagrata, was the show called Cupagrata right from the beginning, or was it, did it have a different name initially? And were you doing it like, kind of on a regular basis? Because you obviously had a chance to, you know, hone your skills and your craft in those first few years. So just tell us a little bit about your show when you started doing what you were doing.
Oh, sure. So when I first started, you guys could go back and look at my stuff from 2017. Oh, Lord help me. It was bad. It was really bad. It was really, if you want to, it's authentic, it's real because that's who I am and I show up like that. I had our Spark the G Vibe Sundays. Cup of Grata came. Actually, I started it with somebody else. Her name was Carrie. I started it with Carrie, and we just had this idea about Cup of Grata with a shot of expression and 2 squirts of reality, and I have co-squirts. And it's a fabulous experience, and so I stuck with it. Spark the G Vibe Sundays, I may bring them back, but I was doing that for years. I used to do Cup of Grata every single day at 7 a.m., your time slot. Um, I've had uh, other shows. I had Wow Wednesday, Terrific Tuesdays. We have all kinds of fun stuff. So throughout the evolution of Spirituality Gone Wild, what's been consistent has been my shows, The Cup of Grata. They've stayed on. I may not do them every day now, but it's still that anyway. But yeah, so that's what I started with.
So you've got these like little nifty expressions. Without your dark, you wouldn't know your spark. A shot of expression, 2 squirts of reality. Did those things kind of come one by one, and you just added them up so that you have them all, or were they things that you kind of sat down and wrote them out at the beginning and said, "I'm going to try this. I'm going to try that." How did that happen?
Oh my God, that's a great question. No, it never happens like that. It happens like it comes out of my mouth. It just Steve, you talk to me all the time. You hear my mouth. It's just like bloom, 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 bloom. Spirit. I'm a conduit. We're all conduits. You, Steve, are a conduit for source energy to flow through.
Mm.
Expression is nothing more than source expressing itself through you. And I am that makeup of being that has no filter and has decided to show up in this world and just be. So that means that I allow the craziest things to come through. Yes, without your dark, you wouldn't know your spark. That just came out because that's how I see life. I see life that if you didn't have that dark, you would not know your spark. You would not know the light within. You would not know who you are. You would still be back there. You'd still be over in victim syndrome land going, I hate my life and everything's wrong. No. Instead of appreciating those moments that put you into the light, you see? And that is where gratitude comes in like alchemy and shifts it into this gorgeous, yummy experience. And so without your dark, you wouldn't know your spark. Also, is for those that have experienced trauma but are no longer willing to sit in their old story.
Mm.
I came from this, blah, blah, blah. And stories are cool, and we all get pulled into the emotional whirlwind of crap that goes along with them. But that's not my life today. So I really don't like going into it. And I figured without your dark, you wouldn't know your spark really condenses down everything that anyone really needs to know about me from my past anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I love that. I think it's great that we all do have this past, and we can recycle it, and we can either talk about it and keep that negative vibe going, or we can just let it go and accept it and move on with it. And so I love that. I love it. Without your dark, you wouldn't know your spark, because it's all about that spark. Where are we going in the future? Alrighty, so my future, I was looking to do something. I was planning to just start a show, doing it on my own, American Gumption. And, you showed up in my life, and suddenly there was like an easier way for me to start. Like I was able to become part of a team. And so I just went and did it. And I raised my hand and I said, okay, I'll do that. And then we started doing it. And, the first month or two, I mostly was just doing my own thing. I talked about me being the lone wolf at the beginning of my monologue. I was always the lone wolf for most of my 60 years. And I, over the last 10 years, I've realized that gee, do I want to continue to be the lone wolf, or could I actually join a pack and like contribute and be a helpful member of the pack and the group? Or do I have to continue to be the guy who's always out there doing it all by myself, everything, surviving? And really that's what it was more about, was survival. It wasn't able to thrive. So thriving in that community. So that's what brought me to it. I started doing it. But in the meantime, Debbie G has like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I'm like, okay, girl, you go, you do that. I'm just going to worry about the American Gumption show. And I pretty much ignored Debbie G for the first month or two, and really for the first 2 to 3 months. And then I was focusing on doing what I was doing. Cool. About 2-3 months ago, November timeframe, let's say, I just couldn't ignore Debbie G and spirituality gone wild anymore, because stuff was happening, stuff was bubbling up, and little by little I was hearing about it, and I was watching and paying attention, and all of a sudden, like, it was a very different organization in November than it was in July when I said I would join, and August when I started my show. There was a whole lot of things that had happened in those couple of months. So you went for 3 years, like, doing this variety of different stuff, and then I kind of came along at the end of that 3 years, or really right at the very end of that 3 years, and then all of a sudden, like the last couple of months, a whole bunch more stuff is happening. What happened in Debbie G's world and her mind that allowed spirituality gone wild to kind of like blossom and explode?
Yeah, I love that. COVID happened. And I mean, to be quite frank, that's what happened. We got put into our entire world changed before our eyes. Of course, us on the front lines, we've known that this was coming. And that's why we are here to do what we do. It's just like how it started, Steve. Okay, Spirit says, do this, and I do that. Well, I said, if Spirit said, okay, now you need a platform, not just a platform, you need a space for your co-creators to be able to put courses out, to be able to do workshops, and to actually be able to give everyone out there the tools that they need to do this human experience just a little bit easier, for God's sake. And that's what we've done. So we now have our Untamed Club. And here's what happens. If anybody's curious, like, well, wait a minute, what do you do if you get a vision and you want to do that vision, but you're like, I don't have the means to do that vision. That's crazy. Do that thing that seems crazy. Okay? Because this seemed crazy, but now it's real. The transition is, it was time, and I said the sacred yes, but I also take the action. I step up. Everybody's in the law of attraction is great, because you want to keep your mindset in check, your vibration in check. But when it's time to elevate, it's time to also take a step and an action. And when you don't know what that step or action is, you don't question it. You say, okay, I'm ready for it. And the door's open. But there's a trick to it, Steve. You can't be attached to the outcome. You can't be married to the creativity flows and the ideas that flow through. You cannot. You have to allow flow. And that is how it happened. This is how that you met me, and it went from being shows to an entire company with products, an Untamed Club, events. The G Fest is going on this weekend. We've got big things in the works behind, and a Roku channel that's been built that is getting loaded up with high-end content. I'm talking about spectacular content. It isn't what you're finding here on Spirituality Gone Wild's Facebook page. It's called raising the bar. You raise your standards, you just keep going, and you elevate. So that's that's the only thing I know to say about that. You got to show up and trust, man. Trust your abundance, David Strickle says.
I love the idea of taking action. And one of my beliefs is that any form of action in a time of uncertainty will at least allow some kind of movement to occur. So staying frozen in that uncertainty, or just taking like a small step will allow you to kind of, it might not be the right first small step, but it'll be a step. And once you start moving, you can get some momentum going, and you can find out, I'm going in the wrong direction or I'm going in the right direction. And you can either turn around or you can just keep going, depending on whether it's the correct direction or not. So action is really the key. And you are definitely someone who has taken a lot of action. And, and I admire that, because I've been, I'm one to like to, kind of plan things out a little bit more, and you're just like charging ahead. So in some ways we've been a good team, because I'll try to add a little bit of structure to what you're doing, and you're just charging and going fast. And so anyway, I've enjoyed working with you very much these last few months.
All I'm saying is, Steve, you are the structure man, and I'm the bull in the freaking china shop, man. Boom! I just go in, and I'm like, I am that person that goes in and just like, okay, let's get our hands dirty and let's just get in it. No, I'll figure it out as we go through. Let's get it, guys. That
Perfect.
kind of thing. Steve is the one that sits back and he reins me back in and goes, okay, Debbie, here's a picture that I want you to look at so that we can identify what's going on. And I'm like, that's not so bad. Let's do that for a second. Oh, I love that, Steve. And then back to the thing. I love this. And I love that. You are so awesome with that. Oh my God.
We are definitely co-creating in that regard. One of the things that I remember, as this was starting to evolve, I was always calling myself, a host. And I still consider myself the host of the American Gumption show, but I am a co-creator in the world of spirituality gone wild.
Right.
And so, why was it you made the decision that we were better to be called co-creators, the people like myself and Scott and Joan of Angels and Josie, all the people who are part of this group? Why is it that you felt it was more important for us to be called co-creators than host?
Oh, I love that, because you are that. You are co-creating in this universe. We are all co-creators. I am a co-creator. You're a co-creator. A host, that's cool. Hosting a show, that's great, but you are a co-creator. This is bigger than a host. This is co-creating together as community. This is true. I mean, this is true heart-centered work. Mind, heart coherence. We are co-creators. I mean, think about that. Nobody's taking the title of anything. I am a co-creator. I'm not head co-creator. I'm not middle co-creator. I'm just simply a co-creator. It's almost a way to remove some of the labels of anything. Yes, you host a show, but the beingness of you is you're here to create. You're here to co-create. And so together, it's just how that we each together, as we help each other find our own melody, Steve, then together we all create this harmony, you see. And by co-creating in that harmony, that's where the magic happens. And that's what we're here to do at Spirituality Gone Wild, is create magic together. And then to help those that are watching us right now that are saying, but how? But how? Well, forget about the how, get ready for the wow, and join the Untamed Club, because that's where it's at. You want to elevate and you want to bring it up a notch, it's up to you to do that. We're here to bring the tools. That's it, the tools. How did I get from A to B to C to D? Because I made a decision, I made a choice, I made a decision, I made a choice. Every day we make decisions and choices. So that's about co-creation. That's how we're always creating, Steve. You just get to decide now how that you want to do it.
One of the things that I knew was changing when the bull in the china shop showed up one day, and she says, "Okay, we're going to all up our game, and we're going to have a much higher quality show." And I suddenly got like a little bit nervous. I was like, because I was trying to do a fairly good quality show, and I thought about it and approached it that way, and I didn't understand what you were thinking and what you meant at the time, because I didn't see the vision that you saw, and so. It was at that time that I learned the word Roku. I didn't even know what Roku was. It's like I kept hearing Roku and I'm like participating, thinking, "Oh, okay, yeah, I better. Oh, yeah, I know what Roku is," and then I secretly go and Google it and figure it out. So you realize that us doing the show on Facebook and YouTube is cool, but there's something bigger and something that is greater than that platform, because there's an awful lot of people rushing in doing this sort of thing. And you thought, well, I got to stay ahead of the game, and the Roku channel. And then that opens up the need to elevate the quality of the production. I didn't understand what the elevating the quality of the production meant at the time. So and then it involved production companies to kind of come in and get involved to help people like myself, raise that bar. So talk whatever you want to about that whole thought process and how that came to you, other than through source, which we know is where it arrived. But what's been going on in that department, and what could people expect as this year unfolds in that department?
Well, that came about the same way. We had a team meeting, I don't know, about 4 or 5 months ago, or maybe even 6 months ago, and I had said, I know that it's time to do a Roku channel. And then somebody came along, and it looked like we might do that with that person, but then that wasn't in alignment. But it also was another sign to me that, okay, yes, it needs to happen. And the reason is because it's another space to put our tools, another space to create a learning experience so that people out there are able to get these tools that they need. And it ties in with our Untamed Club. The high-end production is simply because if you're going to do it, be the best at it. That's why. If you're going to do it, be the best at it and give it everything you've got. To go and just do a Roku channel or go and do TV and think I could do it the same as I'm doing this was just, no, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. Because it requires higher end video and all of these things that I just didn't know anything about till now I do. And the production studios started showing up and the people started showing up, and we're, next level, next level, next level. Again, this is a big, no attachments to the outcomes, period. You can't have that. That's big. So I just keep moving forward. But yeah, Steve, the idea here is we're driving Ferraris, okay? And I'm very particular about how that is, in the respect of I see it. I see it. Like, I see what spirit wants for you and for all of us, and that is just the way we're guided. So look for the Roku channel to be a dynamic space to really get some scrumptious tools.
Yeah.
And some fun. I forgot about our PMTV. Uh-oh. We have a music channel. It's like MTV, VH1 kind of rock star style. Of course, Spirituality Gone Wild wouldn't be that without rock and roll. It's all music though, all music. And this is headed by our beautiful Scott Reese and Haley Orion. And it's good. Yeah. So it's Power of Music. And it's being created right now. And that's also going to be on our Roku, because not everything needs to be so serious.
So we'll go ahead and just be a little bit patient, and we'll say that it's all coming. It's coming soon. But we don't have to put an exact date on it at this moment in time, because a lot of these things, we're not attached to the exact way that it shows up, but we know it's coming. And that's, is that a good way to leave that for right now?
Well, it is up and running. It just isn't time to launch because we're loading up our series. So Josie Herndon is doing a series from her book that she's writing, where she's channeling from Archangel Gabriel. And she's doing the first 12-week series, and Radiance will be doing a series that ties into her emotional health and emotional hygiene, which is all about mental health series. And those are the first two that you'll see. I'm going to imagine that this is about a month away, give or take some production time, but you all know because you're going to see a whole bunch of advertising about it. So just look for it.
It's coming. It's coming. Let's just leave it at that. All right.
It's the golden. I have to one more thing. Sorry, guys. Golden Age Broadcasting.
this is perfect because this is how I work with Debbie every time I talk to her.
Yeah,
It's
pretty
like,
much.
did you ever see the scene from the movie Forrest Gump where he's playing ping pong and he's smacking the ball as hard as he can, and the ball's going back and forth? That's a lot of times what it's like talking with Debbie G when we're just having a meeting.
Pretty much, right? So Golden Age Broadcasting is the name of our media company. So Spirituality Gone Wild is
Mm.
always, but Golden Age Broadcasting. So it's the gift of gab is what you're gonna see coming forward.
Oh, I love it.
I have the gift of gab. You guys get it? Golden Age Broadcasting, gift of gab.
Yeah.
Oh,
Deborah Wilson checks in and she says, we are all co-creators. Isn't it fun? I love that. But Tina, who has become a big fan of the show, she also talks about loving the co-creator, heart-centered community. It's a beautiful thing. And Tamara Fleming just said hi, but Tamara's going to be a co-creator on Spirituality Gone Wild. She's got her own wonderful brand. So it's all coming together in due time. So there you go.
I love that. Good morning, ladies. How are you? I love that. Bettina, how you doing? Deborah, thank you. Tamara, good morning. So yeah, we are all co-creating together. Yup. You know it.
So let's see. I have a couple more things I wanted to touch with. At the same time that Roku came along and upping the quality of the broadcast, and maybe it even happened a little before, there are some I'm going to call them partner communities, people that we are aligned with Spirituality Going Wild. Our community is aligned with other groups and communities, and really, actually, I think this is how I remember it kind of kicking off last fall, where suddenly, like, alliances were formed. How did that happen? And why did you see that as a necessary part of our growth?
Okay, I love that. Yeah, networking is probably one of my favorite things to do, and I'm one of my biggest character assets. I love networking. We're partnered with Unify. We're partnered with the Sign Network. Of course, we're partnered with Peace2030.earth. You can find the Jedi training right on our website, Spirituality Gone Wild. I have a show on Unify. It's called Unify Women Rising, which is an extremely extraordinary panel. Marianne Williamson will be our very first guest, shooting off our February month, which is going to be fabulous. So why the networks? Because we are, again, it's all back to co-creating a community and connection. So that's what this is, it's all woven together. It's already there. It already exists. Networking is about seeing how that the dots connect. And so I have been privy to be doing this for a very long time now. And I've paved paths with Karen Palmer. We are and Prince Fleet Easton, if he's watching. A couple of people in my mind right now that I'm thinking of that are some of my cross pollinators is what that's called. We cross pollinate. And so not just networking, but cross pollinating.
Mhm.
There's a big difference. Okay. So as you guys think about this in your networking skills, that you're actually cross pollinating. Okay, because think about pollinating is, okay, you're sharing, you're planting seed in essence. So it's really an important factor in business is that, but also showing up authentically without agenda, vulnerably. Yeah, that's gonna be my dare to people out there in business. I dare you to show up without agenda, to be of service without asking anything in return. I dare you to do it because I do it. And that's a big change in conscious business, showing up and being that you seek. And part of networking is that, Steve. It is being a service, because what happens when you're networking, you're going to find that there's people that need you, and then there's people that are going to support you, but you need to show up first.
Mm-hmm.
But without asking for anything in return. See, and I say this because a lot of people come from the salesy world. I do. And I had to learn this. I was always thinking about how I meet somebody. How is this going to work? How do we network together? How are we going to put this together? Shoom, shoom, shoom. And I had to slow down and stop Remember this, okay, what is real for this person in their life? I wonder what they need. That's the shift. I was in the other mindset. Now this is the shift. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. And one of the things that I saw, because maybe I was maybe I was approaching it a little bit from the, well, how does this benefit both of it, and maybe just from the bigger picture point of view, and I'm watching, and I realized that some of these organizations, they were really more event focused. They were doing these big event type things, and we were just sort of like doing like grinding out shows weekday after day, week after week. And so suddenly we became kind of a nice match for each other, because, we weren't doing, the events at this point. And so anyway, it just seemed like it was a good fit, where these organizations benefit from the things we're doing and we benefit from them. But both of them, again, approaching it from that heart-centered business perspective of can we be of service to each other, and all, is our ultimate goal the creating a better human experience, in alignment. And I think it certainly was in that case. So congratulations, and thank you for pulling that all together. I didn't understand it when you were doing it, but you obviously, there was a method to your man.
Neither did I, Steve. I don't even know what you're thinking right now. Oh my God. He didn't understand it. Well, shit. Welcome to my world. Okay? Because I would, no, that's not. I actually in life do events. I've done rock and roll winter
Sure.
solstices. I've done events. I've done big, huge events like, oh my God, with Pimp My Ride, dude, like a million years ago. That I have had this luxury of experience to bring forward for right now. So that is very cool. But yeah, Steve, you're in my boat when you don't understand things.
We only have a minute or two left, Debbie. Where is, so we talked about the Untamed Club. We talked about the Roku channel. We talked about these partnerships that are going on, and alliances with other organizations where we can be of service to them, and they, everybody will benefit as a result of us working together. Where are we going beyond that? I mean, is there anything else that we're missing?
Major. Our Grateful Living Easing. Our Grateful Living Easing, which is absolutely gorgeous. You can find it spirituality.com/newsletter. spiritualitygonewild.com/newsletter. Marianne Williamson is our feature. And Steve's got a fantastic article on this. This goes out to 700,000 emails. So check your email to see if you might have possibly received it. If not, make sure that you join it for Spirituality Gone Wild's email list so you can get the easing. What's coming next month for February is Jonathan and Andy Goldman, who are the world leading sound healers, period.
Tell me that address one more time. I'm going to put it in the notes. So they can subscribe. Spirituality Gone Wild /
Well, that isn't where they subscribe. They just subscribe to the channel itself on spiritualitygonewild.com. But to go to the e-zine directly, you just do /newsletter.
I knew that.
He knew that. And I just reminded him of that, but that's good. That's good.
I added it to the notes. There we go.
Yeah. Okay. So go check it out, everybody. And Marianne Williamson actually has a really great offer for the Course in Miracles, which you can still partake in, even though it's already past the 1st of January. You can still partake in it, which is really awesome. There's Admanity in there. There's all kinds of, you guys just take a look. Kokori is one of our sponsors. I'd like to throw a mention out for Kokori. That is another wonderful learning app for children. So if you have kids at home, you want to get Kokori. But just take a look. I mean, it's really great. It's awesome. And all of the co-creators have put some gorgeous article inside of this. So you get to read all kinds of yummy stuff.
Debbie, I want to thank you for joining me this morning. I want to thank you for inviting me to be part of the Spirituality Gone Wild team, and the fact that I get to be one of the co-creators is a great honor and a great pleasure. And I want to just say thank you. Much gratitude. You are a wonderful person. You are a wonderful woman, and you are 1 year older as of yesterday. So congratulations on that birthday there. Girl, I am no longer 10 years older than you.
I'm 53.
I'm only 9.5 years older than you today, but I'll be 10 years older the next birthday. So there
Oh,
you go.
Lord help me. I don't even know what to say, Steve. I'll
Hey,
tell
this
you
has
what.
been fun. We've got more to do. We've got lots of work that's happening behind the scenes, and I
Yes.
just want to say thank you. What's your last, as we say goodbye, what's your last message to the American Gumption audience this morning?
I want to know who you're grateful for. It's not about the what, it's about the who. It's about the who's in your life. And go join the Untamed Club, spiritualitygonewild.com. And also, come chill with me at the G Fest, man. G
Yeah,
Fest.
you'll be busy all weekend long.
gfest.life, gfest.life, you guys. I will be there. 16 workshops, ladies. We're going to be getting into our divine feminine and rocking the sacred femininity and masculine
All
without the
righty.
masculine being there, actually. So,
Debbie, have a great rest of your
thank you.
day. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you the next time we welcome you back to the American Gumption Show. So thank you, Debbie.
Peace.
Whoops, wait a minute. There we go. There we are. There I am. Thank you, Debbie. This has been a great, wonderful journey. Almost 6 months into it for me. Coming up at the end of this 6 month, period, and maybe my probation's over. I don't know. We'll find out. But lots of good things coming in 2021 for the spirituality gone wild world and for American Gumption. So I'm just again grateful to be part of it. All right, let me wrap up today's show. Now I'm going to be doing 5 shows next week. That's the plan, at least Monday through Friday. Monday and Friday, I do not have a guest yet, but probably Friday, we're going to fill somebody in. Maybe I'll just do a monologue on Monday. Tuesday, Dave Trombetta, the general manager and my co-creator, as we went and did all of the Bubba Gump stuff in the early days and then all the way through that first decade of working together. So Dave Trombetta, the general manager of the Monterey restaurant when it opened back in 1996. He'll join us and we'll talk about the early Gump days on Tuesday. On Wednesday, Wes Schaefer, sales whisperer, tech guy, CRMs, websites, anything to do with tech. So we're going to do a little bit of a geek fest there. But the cool thing about Wes is he is a guy who serves in gratitude, and he's been doing this for over almost 15 years. Ahead of the curve. He's been virtual from the very beginning when virtual wasn't even known. And so anyway, we'll talk about, how everything has changed in the last year, and when the rest of the world caught up with what Wes was doing for 10 plus years. And then Thursday, Yolande Brenner, the author of Holy Candy, Why I Joined a Cult and Married a Stranger. Wow. I want to hear that story. That'll be on Thursday, Yolande Brenner. All righty, everybody. Have a great have a great weekend, a great rest of your Friday. I will see you. I'll see you on Monday.